What's up, everybody? Welcome back to this week's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison, with my lovely,
perfect, beautiful wife, Kendra Jennison. I finished it for you.
And friend. Yes, friend. I got three things that I'm going to say real quick that have nothing to do with the topics we're going to talk about today, but I'm just going to grab this mic because I've been thinking about them all week. Number one, happy birthday to Jade. She's going to be 10 years old tomorrow. Our daughter, 10 years old, going on 18 and 22, a sass ass. But I was thinking about my post I'm going to write tomorrow is literally the very things that I love about you, I hate about you. Now, I'm not going to use the word hate, but like what I love her independence and her sassiness because it's going to take her so far, but I get worried and fearful of her independence and her, like, she drips with almost more fuck you than I do. So like
you both just drip so much fuck you in the house that I am just like,
I think she's just, it's getting worse and worse as we get closer and closer. She's like,
you know what? My dad is right.
There really is no rules.
I'm going to be just like him. She tells me every day.
So happy birthday to you. If you listen to this, I'm sure.
She does not.
Well, you never know if Phoenix might be showing her.
That's true.
On Instagram. So that is number one. Number two, I would like to say fuck you to the guy that told me I should get a haircut. I hope you're watching this, who is bald and has a Power Rangers fucking picture on his TikTok with 0 followers and 0 friends, tell me that I should get a haircut so I could take my hat off in fucking public. You should literally take your dick and shove it up your ass. Number three, there was a guy who said that there's no fucking way that my non-biological kids could love me like his biological kids love him. Look, number one, I hope your kids love you. Number two, I could come off being like an asshole, but I want him to understand that in my life, people who aren't my biological parents have loved me more, and I've loved them more back than anyone's loved me. So you, my friend, only know your truth, and I'm not going to beat it down, but like someone out there probably reads that. I saw that you didn't actually like that comment, right? Because I know you like some of the comments, Ryan, and on that one, you let it go. But the truth is, like, love is everything, and it doesn't matter. I mean, I came out of my fucking dad's penis and into my mom's vagina and could not wait to get out of there. But the reality is, I told you this the other day, the two people who gave me love or gave me life, and the very person who gave me Phoenix, I don't have nothing to do with. So blood and all these things, or whatever relationships you want to think, bullshit. Those were my three things.
That was super great.
Do you have anything to say about that?
I also hate that guy. That's
dude, Power Rangers. So that I just want to say those things because I had a mic and we hadn't really been recording, but we were just in Southern California. I'm cold up in this motherfucker. We were just in Southern California. We did some podcasts with Garrett and Garrett and Keith, right? Yep. Sean did one after us, but Garrett and Keith, and that was awesome. It was a lot of fun. So we didn't get to make a episode last week. However, I think you have, maybe you don't have the episode of Keith, Jesse, Kendra, and myself.
I don't have that one downloadable. I can get it from that Jake.
Cool. We'll get that up. So for you guys that listen to this, that was pretty fun. That was a pretty good time. What were your thoughts? We talked about it, but what did you think about that? Traveling, and that was your first traveling podcast.
It was my first traveling podcast, which is funny that you say that because I didn't even necessarily look at it that way. I was just like, oh yeah, we got to go to California. We got to do some work. We got to go do some networking. Of course, we have to do some surfing. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I genuinely have so much love for Keith and his wife. I can't say enough about people. Just meeting them, they welcomed us into their home. They were so just authentic and open and kind and loving. And I personally find that really rare in like this field of like, I say field of like people, because everybody wants to have like this massive ego, like, fuck you, we're some power couple, like we're better than you. And although they don't say that out loud, it's the vibe that they give off. Like, why you gotta be that way? Why can't you just be open and loving and accepting? And Keith and his wife were exactly that. And it was so refreshing that I just love them.
Yeah, dude, he's a great dude. I feel like all three of the people out in Southern California Keith Garrett, obviously Jesse as well, but so she's a fourth, and Jeremy Finlay are like legit.
Love all those people.
Like
just dripping with love and kindness, and
but also stand for something.
Also, when they get on their subject of what they are passionate about, watch out, right?
Yeah. So
I love it. I just love it.
So for my people in my audience, or our audience, if you haven't followed them, go follow them. They've got great stuff. I like Keith and Garrett do the Married Game, and it's a pretty cool podcast. So on that note, what I want to talk about today was actually I'm gonna go back to what you just said about some of the people in the info space or the influencer space or
influencer space. Yeah, I would say influencer space.
You guys know I don't go by those titles, right? That's not.
I know.
I could care less about that. I know who I am. I'm a dude that paces the field. I'm trying to change the fucking world. I care about my family. I care about the mission. I care about my people on my team. These are not all that, I guess, my family and my team, the mission, and making a shitload of money and impact on lives to be able to take the money and give it to help more people long term. Like to leave a legacy. That's what I really fucking care about. And I think about some of the situations in life that I've been in. I watch dudes walk around holding their chest up high, but I would literally fucking beat the shit out of them if it came down to that, but I don't come off that way. And then I think about
But you do come off that way.
Maybe I do. But then I think about there's like some real people out there. There's like some real fucking badasses out there that would just fucking cover me up in 2 secones. Yeah. They train that shit every fucking day. And they're also influencers. But those guys, when you watch them, they're smiling and they're happy. I think of like Tim Kennedy, right? Dude, he's yeah, right. Jocko, Tim Kennedy, Ray Cash, Steve Acker, all these guys out there that like they're badasses. And then you got people that like, yeah, bro, you made a few bucks and have some nice cars and shoes and house and pretty wives, but that doesn't make you a badass. I don't know. That has nothing to do with the topic that I wanted.
That does have to do with. I mean, I don't know what topic you have for today, but that is so many people in that space, and I just want to be like, please, I see you. I'm sure you were proud of what you worked for, but just sit your goofy ass down for a second, please.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff out there, but I want to talk about how to keep a relationship. What happens if a relationship gets boring, and how do you? So I obviously like to always deliver a message to our comeback people because a lot of those guys watch it, but we're also getting a lot of women that are really liking these little clips all over Instagram or mainly TikTok, I think. Excuse me, but once you find out who you are as a man, or maybe as a woman as well, when you start finding out who you are and you get to the spot and you're in a relationship with somebody and you've done so many things together, like you can only eat at the same restaurant, the same place so many times, or the same steak, or the same fucking sex position, or the same, whatever it becomes same. I don't feel like we have that in our relationship, right? Like we're always doing things. So that's kind of what I want to talk about, how we keep it from being non-stagnant or when it gets boring. But I know that there's people, especially in the dudes world, all of a sudden they start feeling good about their life and losing some weight and having a little more confidence and, being noticed by other women and other things out there. And all of a sudden they start thinking they're the man, but they got this wife over here and that's boring. And they overlook the fact that like they put this woman through hell, or together they put themselves through hell, and they're just going to move on because they didn't really change it. They just stopped drinking.
Want the new, nice, shiny
something
shiny.
Exactly. One of my things I think about every day. This is completely off topic, but I was shown that a man, like a powerful man, makes money, and it's right to pick up many women. Right? You
learned that from your uncle.
Yeah, right. My uncle from just almost most of the male figures that I looked up to, and then I realized as an adult, as a man, as a guy now raising a son and 2 daughters and having a wife who he loves, specifically with you, it's how do I love one woman many ways? Right?
Love it, yeah.
And that becomes a new shift inside of my mind. It never keeps, I never get bored that way.
Right.
Right. And I'm not just talking from an intimate, romantic, sexual ways, right? Like we have that part of our life is great. That's not even what I'm talking about. That's a small piece of our life, yet it's a very important piece of our life, but it's the day-to-day life that doesn't get boring. Yet at the same time, I was thinking about it today because I knew I was going to talk about this, and I don't ever let you know. I come home from the gym, I do my routine, I sit down, you got my food cooked, and it's the same food, it's the same meal, the same amount of eggs, the same chicken, the same 2 pieces of I had dry toast today. I didn't put any butter on it. I had to think you put butter on it. But anyways, my point is it's like routine. Yet somehow outside of our routine, we still have fun. And I thought, and I brought up California a couple minutes ago because, I'm injured and I can't do the things I want to do. I have to sit on the sidelines. However, that doesn't mean I'm just some fucking lazy lump on the log and I don't let you live your life.
Right. And I think that was really important for our relationship. When we first got into the relationship, I have always been a very adventurous. I want to go hiking. I want to go skiing. I want to go surfing. That was me from the beginning. Fishing. It doesn't matter if it's adventurous and it's outdoors and it's something to do, physical activity, you knew that that's what I like to do. And although you, like you said, you're injured,
I value it very much. I
right.
just fucking can't.
I just mean in general, like physically, you know that you can't do those things right now until you have surgery. But that doesn't stop you from being like, you know what? My wife still really likes that stuff. And we can still share those moments together. Although you're watching me and cheering me on and you love watching my face light up from the opportunities that you've provided for our family. But I really do appreciate it when you do that stuff because that is very much still who I am inside.
Yeah, because it's important. So I'm trying to tie this thing into boredom. Many dudes are so fucking self-centered that I've been reading through a lot of the comments on there, right, on TikTok, because it's a different angle, right? Like typically on my ads on Facebook, they talk massive shit about me. More often than not, though, it's pretty supportive on TikTok where these things go with the women. But then there's always these few dudes. It's always the man's fault, right? Like on a couple things that you're put out there, like this is the man, and of course just talk shit about him or blah blah blah. Like they don't even comprehend what we're saying. But the reason that I wanted to address that was because there's a decision that has to be made when you are committed to loving one woman in many ways, is that boredom has to be the foundational, or not being bored or refraining from boredom has to be the foundation. One of the foundational building blocks of what you're going to build this kingdom on, because boredom, even though it's bullshit, I can't talk today. Even though that boredom is bullshit in my world, it's not a real thing that many couples face.
I agree. And loving one woman multiple different ways. I think the biggest contribution to us like never being bored is our continuance for growth. I'm not the same woman you fell in love with when I was 26 years old. Imagine if I was still that same scarce mindset.
Yeah, you're old as fuck, by the way, now.
No, I'm not. Still like same mindset, never wanted to grow, never wanted to do anything. I'm a whole different woman compared to who I was back then. You're a whole completely different man back then. That doesn't leave much room for boredom, I mean, this continuing like learning and growing, and you never get bored when you're doing stuff like that. It's these couples that get stagnant and they have no lust for life anymore. They have no lust for growth. They have no lust for dreams and hopes and aspirations. They have no lust for supporting each other. And that causes boredom. I think a lot of the time you would have been so bored with me, right? If I was still 26-year-old Kendra, you'd have been like, okay, do something new, like show me something new.
Yeah, I just was thinking when you said that, because I have one client, I'm not going to say his name, but like I spend a lot of time talking to him on the phone, and he's grown so far away from his wife, but he doesn't want to leave her because they have kids together and he loves her. But he contemplates every day. He's like, I'm bored. She doesn't care. She wants to sit on the TV or sit on the couch and watch TV all day, and that's what makes her happy. And like, look, if that's what makes you happy, cool, great. But like, if you want to have,
I highly doubt that that's what makes her happy.
Right? And I don't know that because
don't know that.
I've never met her, but there might be someone that's like, yo, I can't wait to get home and watch that new Netflix, right? Or these shows, or maybe that's really truly what they want. And I don't want to knock whatever makes you passionate, but what I noticed with him is what he's saying. He's like, yeah, man, I want this. I want what you and Kendra have. I want this lust and this just desire to just conquer, right? So one thing I wanted to say about this is, we've really only been in a relationship for 5 years, right? Mm-hmm. But in 5 years, there's been 0 fights. There's been, I don't know how many vacations, how many adventures, how many ups, how many downs through the business. Dealing with my fucking emotional state of mind with all the craziness that I do is not an easy task. Right? So definitely it's not boring on that front of life, but there's still a bunch of routine inside of life that we live that could get boring, yet we choose not to be bored by the everyday thing because we have a massive and immense amount of love for one another.
And it could never be boring. Although, yes, there's the routine and there's the mundane tasks of life, if you will. Like dinner has to be cooked. You got to do your goals. You got to do whatever. Yes, that does get routine. However, constantly knowing that the future of the vision that you've casted for us is what makes it unboring. Like, hell yeah, I want to keep doing all this routine work with my husband, with my kids, with whatever, because the payoff of what I see in the future is so much greater that that's what we cling on to. That's who do we have to become to get to that? Who do we have to continue to grow? How do we support each other so that way we can get closer to that? That never gets boring. And I do put a lot of pressure on you as the man to cast that future and that vision. And I probably turn to you more often than not. And I ask you every single day, okay, how can I help us get there? What do I have to do? Because I'm not like you in so many ways. Like, right. I look at you, you're the leader, you're the man, you're the one who's taking the bull by the horns and getting us there ultimately. Right. But I know that I still have to do my part. So I ask you every day, well, what can I do to help you? How do I help you? And then you do. Sometimes you're like, you know what? Today I just need you to love me. Today I just need this. And then sometimes you give me a whole list and I'm like, I got you. I'll get this done, this done, this done, and this done. And that's exciting. That never gets boring because I know that once I can complete all of these things and we can do it together and we're growing, at the other end of that is endless date nights, endless sex, endless skiing, endless fishing in a stream, like all the things that we truly want out of life. And what's going to be amazing when we get there, we're going to be able to look at each other and laugh and damn, we did that together.
Yeah, you said something the other day, yesterday maybe. I don't fucking, my days run in, my days run together, it seems like. But we're so close, but we're just so far away. So
close, yet so far.
Right?
So far.
And looking at the journey that we're like so close to being that overnight success. I'm a Comeback as a brand is so close to becoming, for people saying it's an overnight success that came out of nowhere, but nobody fucking sees the amount of work that I put into it, right, that you've put into it by backing me up, that this team puts inside of it on a daily basis, right? I was sharing that with you because I realized that in my life. Then now, all of a sudden, these homes that I would love to have right here pop up.
Isn't that crazy?
And they're like literally like the houses that I want are coming up on the lake, the white farmhouse style houses, but they're like 6.5 million. And I'm like, I'm just not there yet. Right. 3, I'd probably pull the trigger. 6, I'm like, fuck, dude, I don't want that. Like I'm just not there, right? Mentally, can I figure out how to do it? Absolutely. Anyways, boredom. There's another reason I brought this up. So I'm kind of leading this somewhere is because you told me the other day, you're like, I just don't think people can resonate with us because we don't fight, because we don't.
I said, it's hard for me. I see what other people, and I'm just talking about like on my social media, and obviously I know the algorithm and stuff feeds to like what I interact with. But anyways, people like what's relatable. They like to know that other people get messy and dirty and they argue and they fight, and then it's relatable to them. They're like, yes, I'm not the only one. This makes me feel good knowing that other people out there are like this too. That is human nature. People want to fit in. That is what they like. And I did say to you, I was like, we don't fight. We don't argue. We're in constant pursuit of growth and happiness and love and lust. And I sometimes feel like that's really unrelatable to a lot of people. So I'm like, well, why the fuck would people want to listen to us? Like, oh, here are these people who paint themselves a perfect picture. They don't fight. They don't argue. It must be nice. Like, And I'm like, that's just our truth. That's like that's just our genuine truth. And that doesn't resonate with a lot of people.
And I've been waiting to get on this because the way we live doesn't resonate with a lot of people, but it's what everyone would like to try to accomplish as a relationship together. And what resonates with them is the shit that we went through, like individually before we got here, to be able to share the message.
Which we've never actually shared with people. Like the shit that we've individually gone through before you and I actually got together.
Right.
Which was a massive shitstorm, by the way. It's kind of amazing, actually.
So, and we could share that on another episode, but I thought about it and I thought deep about, like, do they resonate? And what is the one thing that every couple out there that could hear this could resonate with? And that is that loving the same person day in and day out gets boring, right? No, I don't believe it does.
Right.
But like,
in their world.
It's the same fucking thing. I was watching, we just went to this concert. Where we go to
Chris
this Merle Haggard or whatever.
Chris Stapleton.
Chris Stapleton. And, there was this drunk lady remember we were right at the front there, and there's this drunk lady that was talking to the people behind us holding her beer. And she was talking about how her husband, he's lucky he gets to still kind of live on the couch, right? I'm like, what the fuck? The guy probably goes to work every day to come home and provide for you, and you're less like, you could care less about him. And maybe she was joking or whatever, but I think that's what happens in many homes. You take for granted the person that you sleep next to. You take for granted the person that makes your eggs and chicken. You take for granted the person that makes you the coffee in the morning. You take for granted the person that picks up the kids because you're at work doing the things you need to do. Or, and as a woman, vice versa, right? You take for granted that the dude, especially like think about these construction workers, these men out there that are actually running the infrastructure of the company or the country, right? These guys that get up, I know what I do is cool, but there's guys out there that get up and they keep the roads safe. They're down in Florida right now, protecting and helping save lives down there through the hurricane. They're working way up high on wires to make sure that we have internet. And they're like, like they go out every day and they do these fucking jobs. And sometimes the wife doesn't really appreciate that, or they take it for granted. And it's really what at the core is you start taking for granted that the love that you created, the life that you wanted, because you have the same person over and over. And it's human nature. If I could give the people out there why I wanted to like truly hone in on this, how to keep it not boring, is figure out how you can love the other person, one person, many different ways. That's how I don't get bored. My biggest struggle was, because I shouldn't say my biggest struggle, but watching how I didn't value women before you, right? Mm-hmm. And then there were objects, or maybe not objects, that sounds like a real narcissist, but like I didn't care. I had no emotion. I didn't really care if I had a girlfriend or not. I just didn't give a fuck about them or whatever. And when I realized that, and part of that was because I just didn't want to be with one person.
Right.
And then when I realized that one person is going to love me back entirely if I love her the way she needs to be loved, also knowing that, like, this is a commitment for the rest of your life, right? Like, this is not, divorce is, I'm not, it's not on the books for me. There's only two ways, right? Cheat or lie.
Yep.
Right? That's it. You do that, then obviously that changes the table. That changes it. I do that changes it. So when I make a commitment, or these men out there make a commitment and they're like, fuck, I'm getting bored, they don't realize they made a fucking commitment. Like, they truly didn't make a commitment to themselves. It sounded good till death do us part. It sounded good to tell your life, the people around you love this girl. But then when it comes time to show up, you don't do it. And then you might not cheat, but I think even being worse than cheating is being in a loveless relationship. Right? And loveless relationships, honestly, are because people get bored, I think.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I like what you said. I do agree to some degree. I also truly, like I kind of said before, I think growth is probably the biggest one. And there is a lot of guys that go through, come back, and all of a sudden they're this big hot shot. Now they got their life back on track. They're making more money. They're doing all these things. And the guy's like, yeah, well, my wife doesn't want any part of me, doesn't want any part of it. That's probably not true. I'm going to venture to say that maybe you haven't given her a chance, or maybe you haven't even like let her into your world yet. It's like all of a sudden you want a pat on the back for becoming all this like big, amazing, and awesome
For doing what you're supposed to
for
do.
doing what you're supposed to do. Meanwhile, yeah, that's great that you have an amazing job. You're making all the money. You're the one who goes to work every day. You're the one who pays for everything. Your wife is at home. She's the one who's taking care of the kids. She's the one who's making sure the house is kept. So it's like you said before of like this taking for granted. Instead of looking at it like, well, this is what I do, and then your wife looking at it like, well, this is what I do. It's a team effort, truly. I couldn't do what you do. I would never even try. You wouldn't last 25 minutes in my shoes, right? Like, but together, knowing our roles, knowing our places, it's like we thrive in that, you know? But I also, those are our roles, but you make a conscious effort to be like, well, what can I help you with? And I make a conscious effort to be like, well, what can I help you with? Right? So I think that's a really, really big role for a lot of husbands and wives. It's going to take a lot of communication in that sense, right? Especially if they're like two people that are like, why don't you ask your wife, hey, what do we want? Where are we going? How do we do this? And then if she's on board with it and she's like, well, this is kind of what I want. Maybe she feels like shit because maybe she did gain a little weight. Maybe you are some big hot shot now and she feels insecure. Maybe you're not making her feel loved enough about, you know, like, do you know what's going to happen when you start to pour all of that love and attention back into your wife? She's going to blossom. She's going to grow. And you're going to be like, yes, now I have what Mark and Kendra have. Like, I get it now. Everything that you've ever done for me, I mean, you pour so much kindness and love and attention into me, even on days when I know you're freaking exhausted. And I know that is not easy. I know that's exhausting. I know it's tough. And there's days where I see it in you and I'm just like, hey, listen, if you just want to go to bed, you know, you do that. But I think that's so overlooked because everybody wants to get in like this dick showing match about like, I do this and I do this. And it's just like, no, shut up, work together, start growing and becoming these new people. Like every single day, I'm different.
I think
in the sense of growth, right?
I agree 100%. I like two things. One, you're either growing together or growing apart, right?
Yeah.
But you're growing regardless, which was, I think, a great topic that a great point that you brought up. And the other thing is, I believe that a lot of people think that the relationship should just be easy.
Right.
Right.
And I can tell you wholeheartedly, I can honestly say our relationship is easy. Sure, I'm sure that's what people think from the outside, but I mean, I'm going to put this on you because it truly is a you thing. I'm kind of selfish in the sense that if I'm having a bad day or if I'm tired, I just go to sleep or I'm just like, ignore everybody. But if you're having a bad day or if you're tired, no matter what, you still pour so much love and affection and attention into your family. Like you are so incredible when it comes to that. And I know how exhausting and tiresome and hard that is. Because let's be real. I mean, on top of running a multi-million-dollar business, on top of dealing with the amount of struggles and madness that from coaching men who are in really rough places sometimes, and then to come home and to still be able to like push that out of your mind and be like, all right, this is my family. This is what I have to do. That's a one in a kind man. And I'm forever grateful for you for that because I know how hard that can be. Yeah,
I appreciate you said that and you noticed that. I guess I never really heard you put it that way, but it really boils down to, for me, being a choice. I live by the days I don't, I absolutely must. That's just been instilled in me. The days I don't want to go to the gym, what do?
Go to the gym.
I go to the gym.
Yeah.
The days I don't want to go to work.
Or the days that you're just so pissed off is the days like with your family, you're just so extra patient. The days where everything is fucking crumbling and falling apart around you, you're like 10 times more loving to us. It's like you find this like immense amount of peace in being like, all right, I know everything around me is fucked up, but this I can control. This is mine. I got this, you know? And so many people allow the outside world or their emotions or so many things to like penetrate that and to affect that, whether they're aware of it or not. But that truly makes you a man that I am forever grateful to have, because I know how hard that is.
I'm not trying to win any awards with it. I'm just trying to do what I think is right every day, because I try to lead with, like, I feel like I need to show it in my family. If I'm not showing it in my family, then I'm not showing it in my work. If I'm not doing it here,
You take it to a whole nother degree, for sure.
I fucking literally own everything.
But I think that's important for other gentlemen to hear, because in those days where maybe things are boring, or maybe things are chaotic, or maybe things are whatever, it's like, okay, what can I control? I can control how much I love my kids. I can control how much I love my wife. I can control. And I got to tell you, when you do those things, and I know that your world is shit and falling apart, when you stop what you're doing and you show me that extra amount of love, that extra amount of attention, that extra amount of an extra mile walk together, holding my hand, kissing me, loving me, you have no idea how much more I want to internally give you, externally, internally give you because of that. And I think so many gentlemen miss that piece, right? It's so easy to just be caught in your own emotions, to be, I'm fucking pissed off at the world, so I'm going to bring it home. And now I'm fucking pissed at my wife because she sat on the couch today. And it's just like, control, you have so much more control than what you're allowing, right? So if you just stop for a minute and you come home when your life is fucking crumbling, or you had a hard day at work, or maybe, and you show your wife or your kids that extra amount of love and attention, that comes back to you tenfold. And at least I know that's what I do it for you, because I'm just like, man, I want to give this man everything. He's giving me everything. How do I give him everything back more, right? And then you do it, it's just like, I can't even express into words like what that feels like, to have that piece of somebody, to have you be that piece, P-E-A-C-E, for our entire family, and for me to reciprocate that to you, right? Like I said, sometimes I'm a little bit more selfish in the sense that if I am crabby or if I am tired, it's just like I'm more of like I just gotta be alone for a second,
Yeah.
But
even inside of that doesn't bother me, because I know when I know when I respect it.
Right.
That's interesting what you're saying. Like, I come and I give it, like, you want to give me everything when I pour it into you. I also pour to those kids. Those kids don't want to give me anything but a fucking headache, though. That's what they want to do. They just
that's honest truth, isn't it?
They just want to be loud and squawking and screeching and jumping on me and talking. But that's because that's who I am. Anyways.
I was going to say, I wanted to just add, like, I know so many people want, and I've heard a lot of people, and I'm grateful for it, and I truly am grateful for the people that have come up and said, I want what you and Mark have. I want the fun. I want the adventure. I want the love. I want the sex. I want the laughs. That comes with a lot of patience, a lot of giving everything to each other, even on the days that we don't want to. That comes with randomly booking trips. That comes with,
There's a lot. It also comes with sacrifice.
It comes with so much sacrifice. And yes, a major element is we're totally attracted to each other. We like the same things. So that also is another giant component of it. Like you could text me any random day and be like, hey, let's meet at the ski hill. I'll be there in 5 minutes, right? And I know that's not the case for everybody. Some women or some men just aren't into that. But I challenge you to what do you guys like to do, right? And then go do more of that. You could text me, hey, meet me in the field, our back field. Meet me in the back field. I have a picnic set up for us. Like, holy cow, that's not boring. That's amazing.
Yeah, we've done
that's
that.
That's fun. I know. That's what I'm saying.
Picnics, shooting guns. Like, yo, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to do it.
But taking the time and giving those moments and pieces to each other, like, that takes sacrifice. That's you saying, hey, I have 40 minutes in my busy ass day where I might not have something going on. I'm going to rush home and I'm going to do that. Where so many guys, women too, would just be like, I just want this time to myself. But in those moments where you're going that extra mile for somebody, especially your significant other who you want to have that like on fire, non-bored life with, that's what it takes.
That's great. I don't know anything to add to that. Well, nothing to add to that, but something else that you said that just sparked a new, I'm going to take this time for myself, like how people might handle that. I still take plenty of time for myself. I just get up before everybody.
Yeah.
Right. It's real. Like I'm like before the traffic gets heavy, before the phones start ringing, before the kids are up, before you're up, always find whether man or woman, this is available to anybody, right? You can literally still have your time to set your intention by just getting up before everyone else or staying up an hour later, right? If you're a night person, it doesn't have to be in the middle of the day or when all the shit's going on. That's another topic that I'd like to touch base on at some point. But I think we're running here on about 30, 40 minutes here right now. So what I want to do is just, I love what you said there as far as like how to keep it from being boredom setting in, how to stay alive, how to stay in love, grow. And physically.
I can only speak for us. It's just I wanted to add this part before you like wrap it up, but knowing that your eyes have only ever been just for me and my eyes are only just for you in terms of like, with social media and all this like bullshit out there of like, seeing how other people live their life or other more beautiful or other hotter guys or whatever. People get really wrapped up in that. They do. And they're like, oh, I wish I had this. Or people look at us and they're like, oh, well, I wish I had what Mark and Kendra have. Don't do that to yourself, because your wife's not ever going to be me. Your husband's not ever going to be Mark. Like that's just not how it is.
And it's not a fucking that's not
and
like
it's
in
not
a bad
fucking,
way. That's not a competition.
And it's not, yeah, exactly. And I'm not meaning that. It's not a competition, but you just need to find what you love about your husband, what he loves about you, and then you need to go do more of that and only have eyes for each other. Because I tell you, for as much as we travel and as loud as the world is and all the people that we get to meet, and I'm just so grateful for it, but knowing that in a room full of 1,000 people, the one person that you're looking for the entire time is me. And the one person that I'm looking at the entire time is you. And what does that do for our attraction? What does that do for our fun? What does that do for everything? And just playing on that, acting on that, and knowing that, damn, I am the luckiest man alive to have this woman by my side. And damn, there she is. She's looking, and that takes commitment. That takes patience. That takes a lot of sacrifice, like you said, to live that way. But it is so worth it. And that's all I have to say.
That was good. That was great. I'm not going to add anything to it other than inside of those rooms. Like I told you this morning, I personally have got to a spot where I'm like, man, it's cool. We know all these people. It's great. I love everybody. But dude, I only want to build my stage. Like,
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I only want to build my stage and then invite people on. And because I just realized for me and for my life, it's the people that are closest to me that matter. I get it. We need social media. It draws leads. It draws attention. It draws, brand awareness and all this shit. It's important for the job that we do or the message that I deliver. But at the end of the day, when I'm 90 years old and my fucking nuts are shriveled up, it's going to be me and you.
It's you and me, baby.
Right? It's just going to be me and you hanging out there. So like, I can meet cool people along the way, but I'm doing it for us.
Right.
Now, some people don't get that ability to go on stage or do stuff, but they need to do it for them. Everything you do should be for you. And even further back to something you said about like building the relationship together and going into work, it starts even before that, one layer deeper, with truly fucking being convicted and convinced to yourself that you can be a man of valor or a woman of integrity. Right. And if you can't do that, then
you need work
to do. You got some work to do, right? You got some work to do. So that's it for today's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. We'll see you next week.
See you later.